Hey there, welcome back. My name is Voss. I'm an alcoholic. You're on the Vossaholic channel. These are the early days and stages. I plan to go through the whole 12 and 12 and the big book and kind of discuss parts of it. Give you my experiences over 25 years of trying to stay sober with 5 rodeos, which is what I call each time I set a sobriety date. Also, read other books down the road like Daily Reflections and Living Sober book. I just had a really harsh phone call, and it's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, September 25th, 2020. I'm sort of mentally geared to staying in from working from home and the whole quarantine thing. I've lost my fervor to be so excited to be out on a Saturday. I have outside work projects, there's allergies in the air. But my intention is to read Step 2 and help you to get through this for my sponsor, my sponsees, and grand sponsees down the road. Um, Low energy, it's nap time, 3 o'clock. I like to take a 20-minute meditation around now. Got some bad news I had to discuss and deal with. I answer my phone when it rings, even for robocalls. So, that's just a technique I've learned in business. You just answer your phone, and especially with when sponsees call, because other people picked up the phone for me. So, I'm not sure how long this little video is going to last. I already started on step 2, page 25. I'm going to start with the first paragraph here. And essentially, what we're trying to look to do here is get through the whole book. And just like to drive, I'm a driver, I'm a worker bee. The moment they read step 2, most AA newcomers are confronted with a dilemma, sometimes a serious one. How often have we heard them cry out, "Look, what you people have done to us. You have convinced us that we are alcoholics and that our lives are unmanageable." That's kind of funny. "Having reduced us to a state of absolute helplessness, you now declare that none but a higher power can remove our obsession. Some of us won't believe in God, others can't, and still others who do believe that God exists have no faith whatever He will perform this miracle. Yes, you've got us over the barrel, all right, but where do we go from here?" I just had a long conversation about faith. And to dive deep, this program accepts anyone, as long as you have a desire to stop drinking. So if you're atheist, agnostic, you're a faith-based Christian believer, you're Jewish, Muslim, um, anything and everything, takes all kinds. So the premise of step 2 came to believe in a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. So it kind of relates to, hey, you might be insane, and in order to kind of be restored to sanity, it's sort of, you ought to try reaching a place in your belief system to consider believing in a power greater than yourself, than you as the individual. A lot of us are so selfish, self-centered, driven by self and ego that we think we can stay sober this way. So it's sort of it's a prompting, I feel, to really consider finding a higher power. It gets us away from our ego, and our self-driven ideas and actions have led us to probably get to the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. Maybe it's a nudge from the judge, or a spouse kicking us out of the big bed. For me, it was a motorcycle accident. It was just one more thing. And I'm going to do a video on my bottom, which is my step 1. We're on step 2, but I'm making these videos, and I think I'm just going to make little short ones, like 5-minute excerpts. It's sort of more of like a share. I'm being of service. Well, let's dig on this a little bit. So it's sort of like the author, probably Bill and Dr. Bob and some other folks, are making a joke, like, "Look what you've done to us. Now we have to believe in an invisible thing, to stay sober." Well, I mean, I've had 3 times where I just didn't want to hear about God or higher power or this invisible thing and it's just me. I was just downtrodden. I was just beat, exhausted. You have enough friends die in the program through decades, it wears you out. So, you get over it and you hopefully regroup. The best thing I've ever heard about trying to really have fulfillment on understanding if there's a higher power is, look, I'm breathing air. I can't see it. I know it's there. I need it to live. Air has been a big thing. We've had fires all through the Pacific Northwest, Oregon, California. Like every summer, I think people are setting these damn fires, and it sucks. And the air gets trapped in our little Salt Lake County bowl, and you can't breathe, And then you have these knucklehead police idiots. Not all police are bad. I have a cousin who's a police officer, but there are individuals, and they're acting on their own belief systems and opinions, or they're controlled and getting manipulated. I don't know, but they're straight up like killing African American people. And one of the big things you heard was, I can't breathe. And every single time I see this smoke and this air out here, I'm like, I can't breathe. And I think of those social situations, and I think of how horrendous they are. And honestly, I don't know, I can go in a rant. This is me being of service. So let's dig a little deep. I think I cleared up my phone enough to maybe go into 10 minutes on this. Less is more is less sometimes, but I really want to get through this. So we're on page 25, second paragraph. Let's look first at the case of the one who says he won't believe, the belligerent one. He is in a state of mind which can be described only as savage. His whole philosophy of life, in which he so glorified, is threatened. It's bad enough, he thinks, to admit alcohol has him down for keeps, but now, still smarting from that admission, he is faced with something really impossible. How does he, or she, I'm going to insert that, there's a lot of female alcoholics, how does he or she, and a drug is a drug is a drug, I've heard to put he, she, I, they, sorry, I'm going too fast, he, she, me, them as I, and exchange alcohol for your drug of choice. So that's hopefully going to help you. How does he, she cherish the thought that man, risen so majestically from a single cell in the primordial ooze, is the spearhead of evolution and therefore the only God that the universe knows? Must he renounce all this to save himself? So this gets into sort of like science and evolution, and I mean, of what I know of evolution, I was just told, and it's my choice to believe what I want to believe, and that's how I look at things. However, when you're an alcoholic, it's describing the type of alcoholic who's so damn belligerent and stubborn. They're not having it. They don't want to hear it. And there's all kinds of drunks that come in the room, So we're making some progress here. Page 26, top paragraph. At this juncture, his AA sponsor usually laughs. This, the newcomer thinks, is just about the last straw. This is the beginning of the end. And so it is, the beginning of the end of his old life, and the beginning of his emergence into a new one. His sponsor probably says, take it easy. The hoop you have to jump through is a lot wider than you think. At least I found it so. So did a friend of mine who was a one-time vice president of the American Atheist Society, but he got through with room to spare. So this author is kind of a little jokey, like the vice president, like he's still striving to be president of the American Atheist Society, so he's a non-believer. I think that's kind of funny for the times. This is written in the early 50s. And if you're a newly sober drunk trying to get through this type of stuff, it becomes helpful that you have a sponsor, and that the sponsor lovingly laughs because he can relate. I laugh a lot when I hear what my sponsees say, because I'm just like, man, I was there and I'm glad I'm not anymore, and I laugh because I can relate. So if you ever hear somebody laughing in a meeting out loud, like you hit a chord with them, don't take it like self-consciously that they're laughing at you. They're laughing because they can relate. There's something they did exactly like you did, and they relate. Okay, that was a big thing when I was neurotic and new and nervous, and I'd hear someone with a booming laugh, and I'd feel insecure that they're laughing at me. They're not. They're laughing because they relate. All right, page 26, second paragraph. Well, says the newcomer, I know you're telling me the truth. It's no doubt a fact that AA is full of people who once believed as I do. But just how, in these circumstances, does a fellow take it easy? That's what I want to know. So, when you're newly sober, like, you're dealing with all your emotions. You've basically probably masked all your emotions, good, bad, or indifferent, with alcohol. So you've numbed yourself to handle the truth, the news, the reality of living life on life's terms, whatever that looks like. So here you are, sort of where you started drinking is the emotional age that you're at. I started drinking at 15. You know, I was thinking before I made this video that I've probably been sober a lot longer than I've drank, which has allowed me emotional growth and emotional maturity. So trudging along here, you know, the newcomer's asking his sponsor, how do I take it easy? How do I do this? That, agrees the sponsor, is a very good question indeed. I think I can tell you exactly how to relax. You won't have to work at it very hard either. Listen, if you will, to these three statements. First, Alcoholics Anonymous does not demand that you believe anything. All of its 12 steps are but suggestions. Second, to get sober and to stay sober, you don't have to swallow all of step 2 right now. Looking back, I find that I took it piecemeal myself. I mean, right? Spoon-fed, baby steps. Don't feed newcomers steak when they're only on, you know, uh, a bottle of milk or whatever babies drink, you know. Gerber baby food. You can't give a newcomer steak when they can only chew Gerber baby food. So piecemeal it. I get it. Um, Second, to get sober and to stay sober, you don't have to swallow all of the step 2 right now. So it's a work in progress type stuff. Looking back, I find that I took it piecemeal myself. Third, all you really need is a truly open mind. Open mind. How? The acronym HOW, H-O-W. Honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. Just resign from the debating society and quit bothering yourself with such deep questions as whether it was the hen or the egg that came first. Again, I say, all you need is an open mind. So he sort of talks back like, you know, don't try and solve the evolutionary puzzle. Um, just take on little bite-sized pieces. You know, tap the brakes, relax. Don't make it so intense. Don't, like, we're usually full throttle, all in or all nothing, and we don't have to have that approach so much anymore. We have to just take it easy. Try to have an open mind, and it's good that you work with a sponsor. The sponsor continues. Take, for example, my own case. I had a scientific schooling. Naturally, I respected, venerated, even worshiped science. As a matter of fact, I still do, all except the worship part. Time after time, my instructors held up to me the basic principle of all scientific progress. Search and research again and again, always with the open mind. When I first looked at AA, my reaction was just like yours. This AA business, I thought, is totally unscientific. This I can't swallow. I simply won't consider such nonsense. I'm on a good rhythm here. We're on the first paragraph at the top of page 27. We're about 15 minutes in. This is how I started doing the videos, and they turned into about a half hour in length, which is great. And when you're brand spanking new, you're probably only going to grab a few words or sentences out of this, and that's cool. This is sort of a preview for you to read it on your own and to kind of make it sound familiar once you are reading it. If you've viewed this first, that's how I basically best absorb. I'm a visual learner. So moving forward, I just had a thought to share about that. So I came to a situation when I was like, I think early 30s, and I was working my was working with my sponsor, and I went to his house in the valley. I lived in like Los Angeles, and I had to go over the 405 into the valley to his house to work a step. I think it was probably step 2 or 3. And I remember I didn't want to hit traffic, and I went to go see the Da Vinci Code, okay, which I was just trying to beat traffic. I didn't want to sit in traffic, so I went to the movies. It was summer. I wanted to be cool and stay cool. But I'll tell you, that movie eroded my sense of faith. Even still, my faith, I pray to God. I don't have a relationship as strong as I would like with Jesus Christ. I don't always say Jesus Christ when I pray. I pray mainly to God. Um, and so these are just things I speak of for myself. I don't speak of AA. I don't speak for AA as a whole. These are just my opinions. I always say that in every video, just so if you're only catching one of my videos, you'll know that disclaimer that this is just me trying to be of service. I'm not a selfish, self-centered man anymore. I'm putting this out there because I want it to be referenced by the younger generations that all do this whole like social media thing. They all prefer stalking you on Facebook and secretly viewing your content, and it's just weird. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. Society's always going to change, but this is sort of an approach that during the first pandemic, there could be more. This might be the only way a person gets hope or gets to view the book. I mean, George Orwell's book 1984, I think they burned books, or Fahrenheit 451. I forget those high school books we had to read 30 years ago, but what if books were no longer anymore and it was only digital content? I mean, it's a little nutty, right? But we're on step 2. We're just deep diving a little bit here. So page 27, then I woke up. I had to admit that AA showed results, prodigious results. Prodigious, gotta look that up. I saw that my attitude regarding these had been anything but scientific. It wasn't AA that had the closed mind, it was me. The minute I stopped arguing, I could begin to see and feel. I'm going to stop right there in the middle of the paragraph. Resign from the debating society. Like, when you are quarreling in your own head and have that sort of confusion, you're not open-minded. You're just wreaking havoc you're spinning your wheels, right, in the mud. So this is sort of like encouraging a person that's been a drunk for a while to just open their mind, try to see a new perspective, a new light. Just try. And there's been times where I was like, I've lost my faith, 3 times, and that's what the adversary wants. The movie The Da Vinci Code made it more scientific, where we just evolved and it's Darwinism and survival of the fittest, where I've had spiritual experiences